mention of the fact that with the turn in the economy and the recession, the economic downturn, there's been some hope that that might lead to the shutting down of some prisons, releasing some inmates, and that has happened in some cases. But ultimately, this is a moral question, because what it comes down to for this country is whether or not this country really believes in forgiveness and redemption, and whether or not this country really understands the kind of complicated socioeconomic factors that create the prison industrial complex, that create mass incarceration. You can have arguments over economics, you can have arguments over politics. What we know is that politicians do what they need to do to get elected, remain elected, and avoid almost getting unelected. And so what that means is that there is always going to be a gameplay with an issue like this. This is an issue that most politicians don't want to touch. The reason why most politicians don't want to touch it is that, unfortunately, there is a certain part of the conversation that always takes over. And Attorney Alexander talked about this a bit in her book. There are a number of other books that have been written that look at this, which is the sensationalization of crime. Okay? If you were to just look at what you see on TV, you would think that sex offenders and pedophiles represent over 50% of the people in prison. Because any time any child gets in a situation like that, it's all over the news for weeks.
That's right.
And what is created is what's been called by some scholars a mass hysteria. There is a mass hysteria that is created. The whole issue with the war on drugs, they created a mass hysteria. And many of those who are now writing about this will talk about when Len Bias, the athlete, died of a drug overdose, and how this was all over the news and created this sense of mass hysteria. If he could OD, this can get to all your children everywhere, and everybody's going to OD on drugs, and so we have to stop these people. The reality is, as Attorney Alexander said, the various trends in incarceration, all that stuff, have not been consistent with trends in drug use or trends in crime. Crime could be going down, but incarceration goes up because policy does not respond to fact. Policy responds to public opinion. Public opinion is usually centered around issues of anxiety and hysteria, okay? And so part of what the church has to provide is a voice of sanity to the conversation.